But, here we go. Formation lap done. And we are getting ready to go for the Belgian Grand Prix in the McLaren division. And we are on the way in the Ardennes Forest. And Ogwin drifts off the line, but he retains the lead ahead of Corey. Jam is in P3. Lucas left the session. Elite Risks goes down the inside of the Ferrari. And these two are side by side. And who's going to be in front here? Elite Risks versus Jam. Risks backs out of it, and that was definitely the right decision. As Luca, we need to get him back in. He's disconnected, unfortunately, and he's going to lose a bunch of places because there's a bunch of chaos going on behind him. Magician gets past him, and Andres is looking to get past him as well. Crowding has made up 2 places, and Turner is off the track. He's side by side with Crowding again, and the last time those two went side by side, Turner came off worse, and it's happened again for the Alpine driver. He's down to P10 as Jitto takes advantage and he sneaks his way through, but it's SLR Ogwin who leads the way.
My word, I can't help but notice the ERS that Luca, his AI, is using, and that is really going to be painful, especially around Belgium when you really need to manage the battery. So that will be very frustrating for the Mercedes.
Yeah, Luca definitely losing out there. The AI has literally drained half his battery. And now he's joined back, so he's lost 2 places. He's down in P7, and he's got about 50% of ERS to work with. Good stuff. Meanwhile, out in front, Sam. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, Sam. No. He's only gone off and binned it on the first damn lap of the Grand Prix. And that has neutralised the entire race on the first lap. I'm not sure if it. I don't think it's a safety car.
No,
it's only a virtual safety car. As Luca is down in P15 for some reason. As not ideal for him. I think that's a VSC.
Oh, he's going into the pit lane. His AI. I believe it's the AI. It's putting him in the pit lane, or is he pitting on his own?
I think he's back in.
Yeah, he is back in. So is he decided to go into the pit lane? Yeah, change of front wing. Oh, that must be absolutely sour luck there for Luca. But luckily for him, he does have a virtual safety car. However, he could do with a full safety car. Same with Jitto there, going onto the hard tyre. And I don't believe the hards can get to the end. However, this is league racing. So, what do I know?
I don't know. How much do you think you know?
Quite a fair bit. We're back underway. Ogwin will carry on in the lead. He will want to try and pull 1 second from Corey as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Lucas had a moment there, sector 1.
Yeah, it's only getting worse for him, and it's lap 2 as well. It's going to be a very long day in the office for the Mercedes driver. It will definitely not be a replication of France, as Ogwin carrying over business as usual. He's already pulled out a second on Corey. Now, I'm not in the party, obviously. We're not in the party, obviously, Darren. But I can imagine Corey's tears right now as he's trying to stay within DRS. And that is the main thing for him right now. That is the main priority. As, yep, Golden Egg Flyer literally put on, come on, Sam. And then, same season is reducing me to tears. I'm gutted as well, Fryer. It's sad to see, honestly. Can never, ever finish a race. And he puts in so much effort in practice. So
it'll come good for him, I'm sure, eventually. After some time. I'm not sure how much time. But it will come good for him. It will be worth it in one of these races, I'm sure. Especially in Zandvoort. Oh, wait.
Oh, God. Maybe Suzuka as well. Might have a chance there.
Yeah, those are the 2 tracks that have been removed from the calendar. I'm pretty sure we should have announced that earlier. But anyway, moving along forward, DRS enabled, and Elite Risks was hanging on to DRS for dear life there at the end of, well, you know, the first sector. So yeah, he's going to be pushing hard, trying to keep in that DRS, but at the same time, you don't want to be using up too much battery. Otherwise, you could be in trouble. If you make a mistake, you are going to be eaten alive from a car or even 2 behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. You've absolutely nailed it there. And it's really crucial for Elite Risks to stay in DRS here, because he definitely knows for a fact that Jam, the two-time champion, is nowhere near Corey's DRS. The top two seem to be in a class of their own, or those hard tyres are simply not working at the moment for the Ferrari driver.
I have a feeling it might be the hard tyre that are struggling, but however, everyone else who is in the train from P3 all the way down to P13, well, we've got a few people on the medium tyres. They are going to really want to be making some progress as soon as possible. But it is so difficult to, when everyone's running such low wings and pretty much saving ERS. You don't want to use up too much of it, trying to get desperate to make an overtake. So all the medium runners in that battle can do is just sit back for now and hope that they'll see a mistake ahead of them.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. It's mainly a DRS train. Corey sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. As, yeah, the top two definitely enjoying the clean air in front of him. As Corey, has he managed to get in DRS? No, he hasn't. That's, oh dear. Yep, Luca, it's going for better, worse here, son. He's got himself a 3-second time penalty. And that is disastrous. Meanwhile, Elite Risks. We could be seeing an overtake here for P3. And this is definitely an easy move for the Division 1 champion. And there he goes. Past Jam. He's gone with it. He felt like he had to make the move. And that's exactly what he's done. Elite Risks moves himself up into 3rd place. He won here last season in Division 1. And he's on the podium here in the McKeown division. So, very impressive stuff so far from Elite Risk. He continues to impress me here. And yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. And look at the gap he's already pulling, or starting to pull, to Jam. So maybe Jam's pace isn't really on par with the rest of the drivers around him, as Andres is getting really close to Magician for P5. The medium tyres are definitely the quicker tyres so far here, Darren. And he's got to use that tyre advantage right now.
Where for now, Magician will have to stay calm and focus on the car in front, because if he focuses on the car behind too much, then, well, he could find himself outside of DRS, which is not what you want. Yellow flag in Sector 3. We've got a spin.
Yep.
Oh, and it's Turner. No way. Well, that will be the car I'll be driving tomorrow in Division 1. And it's not looking good for Turner. He's had a spin, and he's on the medium tyre, so that is far from ideal. It's not ideal to spin anyway, but when you're on the quicker tyre, that is the final thing you needed.
Yeah, and now he's officially out of sync with everybody else. 7 seconds behind the next car, and everyone is in a DRS train. You know, Turner is very quick, actually, and he has definitely got the potential to show what he's been, you know, show his pace and show his true abilities, but the luck really hasn't been there for him this season, and he keeps on making mistakes in the races. And there's another one to add to the list. As Crowding is having a look at Andres for P6, and I think he might get it because Andres has made a mistake through Lacombe. And Crowding, normally a bit more aggressive than your usual league racer, is definitely pushing the Haas on those medium tyres. But he hasn't managed to find a way through on this occasion, as Magician hangs on to P5 for the time being, as Turner, yeah, it's gotten worse for him now. He's had a spin, and now he's just got himself a 3-second penalty. As Brian really struggling to keep up with Crowding at the minute.
Oh, there goes Andres.
Might have a go as Andres down the inside. You don't see many overtaking chances or moves in the middle sector. And Crowding a Magician just hangs on for the time being. And, you know, he's got to make this move now, because these 3 guys are at risk of literally falling out of DRS. As Magician is hanging on to Jam's DRS range for dear life. And, you know, he's really got to be clinical about this, because if he wastes so much time trying to pass one car on hard tyres, it's going to hurt him, and he's made another mistake through the chicane, and this is Crowding's best opportunity. He gets the switch back on the exit, and he's using the battery to his advantage, and he's through. And Andres making those little mistakes, and Crowding punishes him for it, and he's down to P7. And ironically, you know, he was looking to gain a place. He's lost one instead.
Well, that'll be an absolute breath of fresh air there for Magician, who now has a hard runner behind him, meaning the pressure will not be so much, unlike for Crowding, who is now in trouble here on the straight. But, well, Andres doesn't have the straight line speed, and I was about to say I'm very impressed with how he actually stayed close to the pack despite being off the racing line. But yeah, it hasn't really gone in his favour there on that last lap.
No, it really hasn't. Meanwhile, Jam has repassed Elite Risk for third place. As these two are swapping positions, we're looking to DRS off each other maybe. Trying to make sure they don't lose too much time down the Kemmel Straight. And it's a fair tactic.
Oof,
as
yellow
we've got
flag.
yellow flags, and that's F1 driver who's had a spin at No Name. And, you know, he had a crash in qualifying, and now he's had a spin in the race. And his chance of points are immediately dwindled as he's down in P12. Race Roller finding himself in the top 10.
How about it? How about it? He did miss out on Q3, but he's now back in the top 10. So I'm pretty sure he'll be a little bit satisfied with that, but he's got quite the gap to gain if he wants to get into that massive DRS train.
Yeah, it is a massive train. A massive train. I think a 7-car train for P3, which is insane. Meanwhile, out in front, Darren, SLR Ogwin has pulled away from Corey and has got a 2-second lead right now. So Corey really struggling to match the pace of Ogwin, but he's got double the ERS, so Corey could use that to his advantage later on, as Salvador is in the pits after just 6 laps. I think he might have had a collision with driver and he's repairing the front wing maybe. Yes, he is. So Salvador's race is definitely ruined. He's going to try and go to the end of the race on those hard tyres.
Oh, that's absolutely unfortunate. Maybe Luca will have someone to fight then. But, oh, Magician's got a penalty.
Yeah, that's happened. And Turner's had another spin. He's had a 360 through a Rouge. And Jitto will say, thank you very much. I will take that position. And Jitto, I think he's trying to go to the end of the Grand Prix. And he's up into 12th place. And, yeah, good spot there, Darren. Magician has got himself a 3-second time penalty. So that is going to prove costly for him. He's in that fight for P3. But his life is going to be made a lot harder now. He might have to be a little bit more aggressive if he wants to make up for that penalty.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might be overdriving on those hard tyres if he's managed to get a penalty here. But well, it's what you got to do sometimes. But unfortunately, he has not gotten away with it. He's got a penalty and he will have to push even harder, which is a little bit contradictory, really. I mean, the final thing you want to do is make a mistake. And now he's got to really risk it now if he wants to get some good points here today.
Yeah, he definitely does. Meanwhile, Crowding is just outside that 1-second window, and he doesn't get DRS from Magician, crucially, as yellow flags, and that's Turner again.
Yeah, he might have to call it quits at this rate, but I think he will keep going. Maybe there's still hope that anything could happen, but the chances of getting a safety car, especially at a division like this one, are pretty low. So yeah, either keep driving or maybe retire the car. He's going to keep going. Credit to him. Meanwhile, there's some action here for P6, I believe. Or P7.
Yeah, Andres, Brian, and Kiwi have all passed Crowding down the Kemmel Straight, and I have no idea what's happened there. I think I've missed it. I think Crowding might have made an error or something, because he's dropped quite a couple of places, and he's down in P9. Kiwi up into P8, and Brian up to P7. Andres looking to chase down Magician, who's 2 seconds ahead. So Magician's got that breathing space with the car behind, so that's definitely going to be what he needs to do now. It's just stay in DRS.
Yeah, I believe Crowding did make a mistake, because look at the gap. Could not have gone up to 1.8 just like that. Definitely a mistake from Crowding. Has split the DRS train. And now we've got a new DRS train. So that is going to be very fun to watch. Indeed, especially for Brian, who's already slightly dropping back, as now Andres has clean air pretty much. So we can really push Brian away from that drag reduction.
Yeah, Brian has got to try and stay within that 1 second. DRS is so crucial around this track. It's actually hard to overtake around here. Funny enough. Funnily enough. I can't even talk. I always have a problem pronouncing that word. For some reason. I don't know why. It's a difficult word for me.
Funnily. Meanwhile, I'm looking at
Alright,
chat.
but you did have to rub it in.
We've got an apology for Andres, and yeah, he's now good. So yeah, he wants to even prove that even more, I'm sure. He's running in P6 here, and he is, well, not really the lead medium runner like I was about to say, but he is the third medium runner. So yeah, that is great for him. But what isn't great for him is Brian catching up with him.
Yep, Brian trying to go right outside, and there he goes. He makes the move stick, and he is through. Meanwhile, Crowding has managed to get past Kiwi for P8. So Crowding looking to make up for his earlier mistake, as Andres is down in P7. But yeah, those medium tyres are definitely starting to go off at this stage. The hard tyre will definitely be the quicker tyre, and this is where these hard runners need to start pushing, as Jam hasn't really reeled in SLR Corey, as Race Roller picks up a 3-second penalty. Turner picks up another penalty, as he's having a mess. So
Look at chat, man. Oh my god. My shock, non-existent. I'm not going to read the rest of that. You are free to read it, though, Simba. But we got a yellow flag in Sector 2. And I believe that was Kiwi, who has made a mistake. He's now down in P10.
Kiwi with a big mistake there. Very unfortunate moment for him. And now F1 Driver, who had a spin earlier, could literally find himself... He's been gifted an opportunity to fight for points in this Grand Prix. So the window of opportunity has been opened. And oh, Andres with a big mistake out of the bus stop chicane. And Crowding will definitely be smelling this opportunity, and he'll definitely be going for it, as Kiwi is off into the pits after that mistake. So he wants to get rid of those medium tyres as quickly as possible, as Jitto is slowly making his way up the field. He pitted on lap 1, and what's Jitto running this Grand Prix? I feel like he might try. He might be a factor towards the end of this Grand Prix, as lap 10 his opponents here in Spa. Andres making that mistake through the bus stop, but still ahead of the Ferrari, still behind the McLaren, 3 seconds behind Magician, who's got that penalty, and he's trying to hang on to the DRS of Elite Risks, who is still keeping Jam honest in P4.
Well, to be fair, like going back to Jitto, well, when you get damage on lap 1, you really have nothing to lose. So he may as well try and get to the end. I'm not sure if the tyres will allow him to, but I would really applaud the effort if he does manage to get to the end of the race, whether he gets points or not. However, he may cause havoc in that battle for the podium, depending on the gap. It depends where those people will come out. Ideally, people like Jam and Elite will want to be ahead of Jitto when they pit in for the medium tyre.
Absolutely, traffic is key in a race like this, and avoiding traffic is absolutely essential, as Elite Risk goes through the bus stop chicane, and he's missed out on DRS, and Magician is right behind him. Meanwhile, Corey and Ogwin, the two in front, the race leader and the Williams, are in the pit, and Turner's had an off again. It's a nightmare for Grand Prix for him. And now, this is going to be interesting to see where these two come out.
Most likely ahead of F1 Driver. Yeah, probably ahead of him. Yep. Ogwin will be ahead.
Ogwin safely through, but Corey might not be safe, and he's not. Driver's ahead. And he's got to warm up those hard tyres as well, so Corey has got a car in front of him. Andres has meanwhile repassed Brian, and he's up into P4 on the road. These guys have got to start pushing now, because Andres especially, because Ogwin and Corey have made those pit stops, and crucially, Darren, Corey is not overtaken Driver. Driver is actually reeling in Ogwin.
Oh, well, this could be very interesting. Ogwin will need to warm up those hard tyres very soon, and they are very difficult tyres to warm up. So maybe we could see Driver interfere with the net leaders Grand Prix.
He definitely could, if he just keeps doing what he's doing, and that's staying on the track. Luca picks up another time penalty for track limits, as out in front, SLR Jam leads the Grand Prix. These guys have got to start pushing now. This is the time to respond. It's time to put in those laps near your personal best. in order to respond to the undercut attempt. I think these guys might be playing a part at the end of this Grand Prix. We'll find out in the laps to follow. But no, Jam's in. Risk is in.
They're going in.
They're going in. They're going straight in.
Pretty shocked at that. I would have given it a lap or two.
Well, an immediate response. They want to go on the mediums as soon as possible. So here we go then. Huge moment in the pits. Can the Alfa Romeo crew get it right here? Oh, he's been held. He's been held by Andres as well. And Jam might just sneak away from the Alfa Romeo.
Oh, look at Jitto.
Jitto.
My word.
We were talking about him earlier. He's ahead of Risks. There you go.
To be fair, for Elite Risks, he doesn't really need to warm up those tyres as much as a hard tyre. So if he can get ahead of Jitto ASAP, then he may not be in too much trouble. But in terms of trying to beat Jam, well, it's going to be a difficult road if he wants to get anywhere near him, let alone overtake him.
Well, the road starts with an overtake on the Haas. Jitto demoted to P10. Elite Risks up into 9th place on track. But look at the time. He's lost 1.9 seconds behind Jam now. He's lost a second and a half in the pits. And yeah, maybe Darren, going for that one extra lap, might have been worth it.
Well, we're seeing Magician do that. I don't know if he's losing any time. Ogwin up into P5. Corey is still behind F1 driver, which is really not ideal for his Grand Prix, because if he gets stuck there for any longer, then maybe we could see SLR Jam get involved in overtaking Corey on the quicker medium tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys have got a pace advantage now on these medium tyres. The only two in the top 10 on the medium tyres, as Magician is going to carry on for another lap. So he's going to carry on. Driver and Crowding are in the pits. Ogwin's right behind Race Roller. So if Ogwin could clear Roller here, he'll be in the clear.
Brian in the pits.
As he sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix of 46.0. Quite a number of tenths quicker than the previous fastest lap.
Well, finally, Corey's been set free, but Ogwin is not free right now. He's right behind Race Roller, who is on 12-lap old hard tyres. So I believe he hasn't made a pit stop. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be a simple overtake here for Ogwin, using the battery and the DRS, wheel to wheel with the Red Bull, and that should be a simple move there. Much fresher hard tyres. Into P2 goes SLR Ogwin.
And he's into a net race lead, and that lead over Corey gets bigger and bigger as Roller has a moment on the exit of Lacombe. Andres, meanwhile, has repassed Brian again. Needs to go back and forth here for P8 and 9. Can Brian find a way back? He's just pitted on mediums, and he's trying to go around the outside through Ravage, but he can't quite make the move happen. Kiwi gets past F1 driver as well, but driver's got the switch back. He's on the mediums, and driver goes down inside through Ravage. He squeezes out the Aston Martin, and he is through. Driver up into P11.
Oh, they're very close to making contact there through No Name, but driver gets the move done on the new medium tyres, and now he's going to want to have to push just so he can have a gap. I mean, in terms of trying to get into the top 10 right now, that might be a bit of a stretch, but he could maybe catch up if he has the pace.
We'll find out if he does. Meanwhile, Magician, the race leader, in the pits. And where's he going to feed out in all of this? He was fighting Jam and Elite Risks. He's on those fresher medium tyres by at least 2 or 3 laps. Jam sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, the 45.2. So that is quite the difference between his and Ogwin's fastest lap, as Magician comes out of the pits and he's just behind Elite Risks. And I don't think he's in DRS range either.
Well, that is not exactly ideal. However, he will have 2-lap old fresher tyres, and compared to the hard tyres where 2 laps, it does have a difference, but not that much of a difference. The medium tyres, that's about 10%, maybe around 10% less tyre wear there for Magician. So hopefully he can try and find a little bit more pace with the fresher tyres. But at the same time, tyre management is very important here in Belgium.
While something else is important is track position, and now we're fighting for P9 and 10 as Crowding almost makes contact with Andres there as he goes round the outside through Lacombe. and crowding up into 9th place. He muscles his way through as Corey passes Roller through Puon, and Corey's up into P2, and this is for position as well. So Roller down to P3. Jam is right in this now.
I was watching that battle between Corey and Roller was really giving Corey a hard time, meaning Jam could actually maybe really help from that little bit of sabotage there, so he could actually maybe get ahead of Corey. Meanwhile, Magician gets another penalty, which is not ideal, especially since Brian is less than 6 seconds behind him.
Yeah, so Magician making this race harder and harder for himself by getting these time penalties. It's not ideal, especially in this division. Roller dives into the pits. Saldo's got a time penalty for track limits, and look how close SLR Jam is to Corey now. It's half a second. It was 2.6 seconds before they pitted. Now it is literally 2 car lengths.
But he should have DRS very comfortably. Corey and Jam both having quite a fair share of ERS, but who will manage it better? Well, Jam, straight on the battery and straight off the battery. He believes he has the straight line speed. He definitely does have the straight line speed, aided by the ERS, going round the outside. And that is a lovely move there by Jam, moving up into 2nd place. And that is a crucial move, and he got it done quickly.
It was absolutely vital for him to pass the Williams, and that's exactly what he has done. SLR Jam is up into 2nd place, and he needed to make that move. You can see the grip difference of fresh mediums compared to fresh hard tyres, as Jam is on a rampage here. He could maybe challenge for the race win if he can catch SLR Ogwin by the time this race is over. He's only got 8 laps to go to do so, so let's see what happens. Jam is on the chase for another race win.
Well, that's got to be so frustrating for Elite Risks, because I'm pretty sure he'd be able to see that on the straight. And knowing how close he was to Jam for the entirety of the first stint, he could have been there overtaking Corey as well, but he's got 2 seconds to try and catch before getting anywhere near the podium.
Yeah, Elite Risk definitely will be frustrated. He's definitely lost out on that pit stop phase. As we move on to lap 16, it's been quite the Belgian Grand Prix as Crowding is looking to pass Jitto for P7. He's going to try it right outside through the bus stop. He hasn't gone too deep. No, he hasn't. He's absolutely nailed the line on the outside. He'll get the drive out of the corner. He's got the DRS, and he is up into P7. Crowding with another brilliant move there, and that could be move of the race as he's up into P7. He's having quite the drive from qualifying 10th on the grid.
He's got to use that battery, try and get into the DRS. I think he made it. Did he make it into that DRS? That will be pretty crucial. Yes, he did. Incredible stuff there from Crowding. He'll be in the DRS, and finally, he can give the ERS button a bit of a break as he will now settle behind Brian and just manage a little bit of battery before going for the move.
Yeah, that was absolutely crucial for Crowding to get within that 1 second window. Otherwise, it was going to be quite a way back into the DRS of the McLaren. As Brian, very quiet race so far, currently P6. They're both on mediums, so it's going to be a fair fight for 8 points in this Grand Prix. Turner sets a fastest lap with a 45.0, takes a point away from Jam, and meanwhile the gap down to 2.1 seconds. So Jam's taken nearly 6/10 out of Ogwin's lead on that last lap.
Well, actually, correction. I think Magician had the fastest lap before Turner took it. So Magician is pushing like an animal here. He knows about the penalties that he has, and he probably knows that the chances of him finishing in the top 4 are very low. He can still get a top 5 if he can get Risks out of the way.
Well, let's see if he can do it. Risks on those medium tyres. It just doesn't seem like he's as confident as he was on the hards, as Magician is looking to pull a rabbit out of the hat here to get past Elite Risk and aid his chances for a top 5 in this Grand Prix. He's been really impressive so far. Let's see if he can get the job done.
Oh, I've heard that pun before. As now we're going through Eau Rouge, it will be very simple to be in DRS unless you suddenly brake to avoid DRS. Obviously, he'll have it, and he'll have the straight line speed advantage due to that. And that should be a very basic move into P4. And now he will have to keep pushing if he wants to finish in the top 5 today.
He needed to make the move, and he's done it. Magician up into P4. Turner's had a spin at Stavolo 2. Pushing too hard on those soft tyres. And it's really been a long race for him. Few spins here and there, and there's another one to add to his collection. Down in 15th out of the 15 cars that are still running here. Sem, the only retirement from this race from the first lap crash.
You know, you've got to really give Ogwin a lot of credit here. He knows about the tyre advantage, and he is managing it perfectly. The gap is hardly going down. It's down to 1.9 now, but that is the first time I have seen that gap go down below 2 seconds, and it goes straight back above 2 seconds. So Ogwin doing a great job managing the pace and managing the mistakes here. He's really doing a solid job here at the front.
Well, these two have been the top two in the championship. They've been the class of the field once again here. It didn't look like Jam had much pace as he has a nice drift through the bus stop, and that's going to cost him time as we move on to lap 18. They got that up to 2.2 seconds. So you were talking about not making mistakes with Ogwin. Jam has just made one.
Yeah, I believe he might be struggling on those medium tyres. That tyre advantage is starting to slip away for him. And yeah, I think he's now trying to overdrive, trying to get that gap down. But with the tyre advantage gone, it's going to be very difficult for him to try and get into DRS in these remaining 5 laps.
Speaking of DRS, Magician is making a move on Corey. And Magician is up into the podium places on lap 18 with 5 laps to go. He is pushing like his life depends on it because he knows he's got that 6-second penalty over his head. And now, this means Elite Risks has a chance to get a podium because all he needs to do now is pass Corey.
Well, yeah, there you
and
go.
He'll get promoted to P3.
Elite Risks literally dragged onto the back of Magician, and he took him straight to Corey, meaning he has a chance of a podium. However, Magician, he's got another 4 laps to go, and if he can push and somehow keep up that pace on the slightly fresher medium tyres, maybe P4 is on the cards, but I don't have a feeling that will happen. He could still get P5. It looks likely that he will. And Crowding has got a penalty.
Oh, that's not ideal. There you go. Another driver bites the dust with penalties. His 3rd warning of the Grand Prix.
That has given Andros a bit of hope.
Yeah, Andros could definitely get P7 back. Meanwhile, the gap out in front, 1.5 seconds.
Gone down a bit this lap.
Yeah, we could be in for a finish here. Ogwin just isn't able to respond on those hard compound tyres. They're just not as good in race trim as the mediums. As Turner gets yet another penalty. Corey is struggling in DRS. He's struggling to stay in DRS. He's just managed to stay in DRS there. But Risks or knows all he has to do right now is to pass Corey and he'll be on the podium. It didn't look like he'd be on the podium a few moments ago, but now he's right in this fight for a top 3. Turner spins again.
Well, yeah, bit of a shambles of a race for him. He'll definitely be one to forget. Meanwhile, Magician going through there. And he's actually really doing a good job here today, especially with the penalties. It's very easy to feel demoralised and stop pushing so hard once you get a penalty. But that has not stopped him. He's still pushing to the absolute maximum, and he wants those points here today.
He knows, he's got the desire, he's got the drive, but he's got the opportunity to score some big points here today. Unfortunately, the penalty will rip away a podium as he is on course for a podium without those penalties, but it's the way it goes in league racing. You've got to be clean. You've got to keep it clean as you can, really. And, yeah, Magician has struggled to do that with those 6 seconds of penalties. And, crucially, Corey is nearly out of DRS.
What can I point out? That Jitto down in P9 on 17 old hard tyres is still in the top 10. No penalties, and no pressure from in front or behind. So he actually could get some pretty good points here. He might even finish in P9 if Race Roller doesn't have the pace to catch up.
Well, definitely someone who won't be getting points is Ogwin's teammate for today, BRT Kiwi. He's had a spin And he's lost his front wing. Meanwhile, I think Andres has lost P7 to Brian.
No, I believe
Somewhere,
Brian
I'm not
lost
too
P6 to Crowding there, if I'm not wrong. But he may come back at him here on the straight.
Well, let's see what happens. He's got DRS. He's got the ERS. Crowding's red light is flashing. And he moves to the inside line. Down inside. Through Lecombe. McLaren versus Ferrari. And the McLaren looks like it's going to muscle its way through. They're still side by side. Going into Rivage corner. Who's going to be out on top here? Is it going to be Brian? Is it going to be Crowding? It's going to be Brian who emerges ahead. Going through No Name. He is up into P6.
Well, if I was Crowding, I would have let that go. I mean, the chances of him finishing in P6 are quite low with that penalty, but he can still finish in P7 because the gap is over 3 seconds. So I would have let that go, but great effort for him to try and maintain that P6 on the road. However, the tyre advantage is not going his way, so I absolutely doubt that he will be able to stay ahead of the McLaren.
Someone who's definitely struggling to stay ahead of McLaren is Race Roller right now. He's managed to catch up to Jitto. So Jitto, on those tyres since the first lap of the Grand Prix, might be seeing his chance of points fade away here as we're on lap 21.
Yeah, those
2 laps to
tyres,
go.
they must be absolutely destroyed for the Haas car. So defending is pretty pointless. You have to hope that you can just stay in DRS for the final 2 laps.
That's all he needs to do. All he needs to do to secure some points here. Roller right behind him. He's really pressurising Jitto here. Jitto's in big trouble here.
Absolutely. Look at that. He doesn't have the grip. He does manage to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Elite Risks is just behind Corey here going into Lecombe, but he couldn't make the move, and he really is running out of time if he wants a podium.
Well, Roller has a penalty, but he's going to try and move himself up into the points anyway. And he does. Also, so does F1 Driver. He might have a go, but he doesn't. Meanwhile, yellow flags in the middle sector, and that is Magician. He's spun out of 3rd place with 2 laps to go. And that is the end of his hopes for our top 4. Jitto has passed F1 Driver, and he reclaims P10. These guys are fighting for P9 on the road as Roller has that penalty.
Oh, and Jam's got a penalty.
Has picked up a penalty. That is not what he needed. He was just starting to reel in Ogwin, but he's got a penalty with just under a lap to go. And that is going to give Ogwin the win that he's been looking for here.
Oh, that is such a painful mistake there for Magician. With so little time to go, he was going to be on for a P5, and now it might be a P7 or even lower for him, which is so disappointing.
It really is. And meanwhile, the 2 cars in front of behind him are really having a go here. It's Brian and Crowding. Driver gets a penalty as well. Jitto's got a penalty too, and these guys are going right at it. Driver squeezes. Oh, whoa! What the hell has gone on
What's
here?
happened there?
Jitto, mate. That
Wait.
speaks for itself.
Hey, what's happened there? I just missed it.
Driver squeezed out Jitto going into the bus stop.
Oh,
And Jitto
P3.
just lost his head. And he's just taken out the McLaren. Meanwhile, Lee Wrist
contact!
right outside of Corey. They've made contact there. And
No,
Corey
no.
spun! Corey spun!
It's
No,
all kicking off.
Corey, what have you done? You didn't need to do that. He spun out of a chance of a podium on the last lap of the Grand Prix. And it's all kicking off on this last lap. You're absolutely right, Darren. It's all kicking off on the last lap of this Belgian Grand Prix. Corey's lost a podium. Risks is on the podium. Jitto's lost his head for some reason. That's on stream, so I don't know what's going through his brain. Definitely not much going on if he's doing stuff like that. But I'm front. It's been about one man in this Grand Prix. F1 Driver will not get a point. He's binned it again.
What
in
is
the middle
going
sector.
on?
He's binned it at the exit of Ravage. And Southerner will claim a point in this Grand Prix if he just keeps it on the road. And someone who's definitely kept it on the road today, it's SLR Ogwin. He took pole. He's taken the fastest lap at one point. but he's going to come through to win the Belgian Grand Prix of the McKeown division. He takes another victory this season. Jam will finish second. Elite Risks is on the podium, and Magician will miss out in P4. Crowding will be P5. Hey, well, it's Brian P4, Crowding P5, Magician P6. Corey's had a head loss on the last lap of the Grand Prix again as he bins it on the main straight. Absolutely tragic stuff. Andres will pick up 4 points. Race Roller scores points for a band qualifying again. And Southerner, who qualified last, will claim a final point in this Grand Prix.
My word.
I don't know what on earth happened in the closing stages of this Grand Prix, but it all unfolded and everything was just kicking off. But Ogwin takes 25 points for pole position.
That was absolutely insane. I'm not sure what happened there with Jitto, but what happened with Corey, well, obviously you want to keep the position, and that is going to be a talking point on who really deserved the podium there. But what a race from SLR Ogwin. He's the only one who I've seen keep a cool head through the entire Grand Prix, and he thoroughly deserves the victory today. What a race!
A great race. I'm just glad you've been here to enjoy it alongside me, Darren. I didn't think you were doing comms tonight, but I'm glad you've enjoyed that race. I hope you guys watching the stream have enjoyed this race. It's been a very entertaining Grand Prix for the Kia standards, with a very bizarre ending.
Yeah,
But
indeed.
the result has Aston Martin winning again, and he extends his championship lead as well. The penalty turned out to be the main blow for Jam here today, but I don't think he'll be too disappointed with P2. Elite Risks, very impressive, and it's another podium. So now, Darren, we've got to do some interviews.
This will be fun.
I'll interview the guys in first and third, and you'll take Jam.
Alright, yeah, that's alright by me. Absolutely insane race. I have no idea what to ask after all of that. It all kicked off at the end, and wow, the grid really did shake up, didn't it?
Truly did. It truly did. What a race here in the McKeown division. Ogwin wins ahead of Jam. Risks on the podium once again. Brian 4th. Crowding 5th. Magician drops to P6. Corey in P7 with a late collision. Andres P8. Roller 9th. And Souther claiming the final point. And we've only got one of the 3 podium sitters in the party right now, which is great. So I'm going to try and get the others in.
Jam said he couldn't make it.
Jam could make it.
I don't think he came third. Can't remember.
I think it was
Right,
Elite
I
Risks
remember.
who was in P3, yes.
Yeah, I remember who came third, yeah.
My word, it all kicked off on that final lap. Flipping heck.
Well, Jam can't make it, so we'll do one interview each. So,
Good.
what do you want me to do there?
I mean, I can do an interview if you want me to, but I have no idea what to ask. So, if it's a horrible interview, I apologise in advance. But yeah, I don't really mind. May as well go for it.
Well, we need to get Risks in. I've invited him several times. Come on. The party's joinable as well, so...
Wait, it was
No, I
joinable
know
the
what's
whole
going on.
time. You're telling me that Trap Racer could have gotten into the party?
No,
If he wanted
not
to.
now. No, not the whole time.
Okay. Can he get in?
I don't know what's going on with Risks.
Probably.
Taking his sweet time.
He's probably still shocked about that final lap. I mean, it was a very tight squeeze, and I'm expecting Corey to protest that.
Risk won't be able to do it either. Right, so we've already got Ogwin here. So,
Okay.
yeah, there you go. Right, we'll do the one interview, and that is with the race winner, SLR Ogwin. Ogwin, congratulations on the race win. You made it look very easy. You got pole position by quite a slim margin in the end, but talk us through it. Talk us through your race.
It definitely wasn't easy with Jam on the mediums because I was pushing as hard as I could without spinning or getting warnings. But quali lap was good. I was happy. I played to Corey, did a 0.3 as well. And yeah, the race I had to pull out Corey's DRS because I didn't want him in my DRS putting pressure on me. So I just rinsed in the first 3 laps and pulled the DRS, and our pace was pretty similar after that. But then, yeah, we pit for hards. The hard pace was still pretty good. He got stuck behind a McLaren, I don't know who it was, which helped me a lot. And then, yeah, I was just in the lead by about 3 seconds, but then I saw Jam behind me out of nowhere, closing in. So I had to push as hard as I could, which luckily was enough in the end, and get the dub.
How many wins is that now?
It's,
Lost count.
I think it's only the 4th win. Jam has 4 as well.
4th win.
Yeah.
Only.
Alright, so that is your 4th win of the season. I definitely knew that before asking you. But you've extended your championship lead now.
Yep.
Do you think you'll just carry on this momentum and go on and seal the title soon? Or is that
Yeah,
too far away?
I hope so. That's the plan. Just carrying on pulling points from Jam, but obviously he's always there in every race. So all it takes is one bad race and him to have a good race, and he's closed right up. So still close.
Yeah, I definitely think it's not over between you two, not by a long shot. You guys have been very close to each other on track for the past 2 races. But yeah, we've only got 1 interview because 2 of the drivers couldn't make it. So that is all the time we've got time. That's all the time. That is all we've got time for. I can't even do the outro anymore. That's fantastic. But I have been Simbrox1. This has been Sparks YT15 on his debut.
AKA the Monoposto merchant. Just putting
No
that
one
out
knows
there.
what a Monoposto is. Why? Why?
Google-
Simba 2.
Simple.
This is
No,
terrible.
not Simba 2.
Absolutely
Oh my god.
horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. No one cares about Monoposto, man. I'm trying to do the outro. Anyway, we've got a Div 1 race here tomorrow as well. I'm not
Oh,
sure that'll be
lovely.
streamed, but tune in for the other divisions. The next race will be Monza, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm off to rest my voice now. Thank you to Ogween for doing the interview. Thanks for Sparks for joining me for a very entertaining Grand Prix. And until the next race, we'll see you guys then. Take care, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.